Hello and welcome to the Sega Addicts commentary for Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2. I am Stevie Grant and joining me is Sven Wohl.
Oh, hi.
And from the podcast that I do, the Sega Addicts Kids Table, listen to it, we have Joshua Newey.
Yeah, that's the only place I'm from.
Yeah.
Hey.
And so you and me, Sven, we did a video on Sonic the Hedgehog Episode 1, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we thought that was quite bad. But Josh, you actually quite like that game.
I don't quite like it as much as I used to, but I definitely still enjoy it. I play it. I'm gonna play it more than I play Episode 2. That's for sure.
So, right, let's get on with this, the Vienna Castle. So what do you guys think of Sonic 4 Episode 2?
I think fuck you, Stevie.
Why fuck me?
Because you said fuck me, and I just had to return the favor real quick.
Oh yeah, in the last series of videos. But come on, we gotta keep it fresh.
I'm a sucker for rehashing dead jokes. Yeah, no, Episode 2 is alright. It's tolerable. But
Why?
why is it tolerable? It's the first few stages have some fun moments, except they shove you in water immediately, as we're about to see.
Yeah, a thing I don't like about the game is that they set the first half of the game in water.
Yeah, I mean, that is a really stupid idea to begin with.
And I just want to line up my cards on the table first. I want to just say I do like this game, and I think it's much better than Episode 1. Just before we really get going.
Well, I like it better than the first episode too, but that's like comparing explosive diarrhea to normal diarrhea.
You know what's really creepy is I was just about to make the same exact analogy.
It's a popular analogy, but why is this different but still worse, Sven?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's better, but it's really boring.
I don't think it's boring. I
It
think
is.
the color palette.
Level design is abysmal.
Yeah, not as bad as the first
it's
one.
boring. It's slower. It's.
I don't think this stage.
Like there's not as much participation as there is in Episode 1.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing now? You're going about. You're hitting springs.
You're hitting springs and just basically hitting right and letting the springs take you wherever they want you to go.
Yeah.
Well, not right now. You're doing stuff right now.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
moving.
running forwards.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you gotta hit this switch and then run forwards a bit more.
Game of the century.
No, I think the visuals keep it interesting. It has a lot more interesting visuals than Episode 1, which was just rehashes.
I agree.
In terms of visuals, it's way better. I will definitely give you that. Visual design is much more appealing too. And there's this stuff here. I like this platforming. I just wish there was a lot more of it.
Yeah, that's the only instance in this level where you actually have to do some real platforming.
But it's the first level.
Yeah,
You have to get used to the new tail mechanics.
What?
Yeah,
What?
the tail
They aren't even really used in this level. Only to fly over over something, and it's. I mean, the whole Tails thing is so tacked on, and really, he's only there to slow you down in the end.
I don't think he's there to slow
Right?
you down.
He's only there.
I think
Yeah.
he's put in there just because Tails has to be in the game, and everything that he does is so not essential at all. And I like that he can save you from falling into unfair pratfalls, but if anything, that just gives him an excuse for shitty level design.
But he wasn't in the original. He's more useful than he was in Sonic 2.
Yeah.
He is
well,
more
in Sonic
useful,
2,
yeah.
he was only there to die in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just your sadistic fun just to watch this guy die and laugh at him.
Over and over.
Or steal your
again.
bubbles. He'd steal your bubbles when you needed a gasp for air.
Yeah.
In defense of this game, though, I do think the only reason I can imagine why they'd have water levels in the very beginning is this is sort of they're kind of treating this like it's the second half of the same game, kind of. So it's like this isn't technically in the beginning of the game because this is still Sonic 4, you know? That's the only reason I can imagine that's why they did
That's not a valid point if you think about that this is like 2 years after the first episode came out.
I know. I just think that might be the only reason, because they're like, oh, we haven't done a water level yet. Let's give
No,
them
there was a
levels."
water level
Apparently
in the
people.
Yeah, there
First
was
one.
a water level in the first one.
Which one? Oh, was it Labyrinth? No.
Yeah.
There was a
Was it
boss
Labyrinth?
in
Okay.
the water zone.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know why people why do people still keep putting underwater levels in games? I don't think anyone actually likes them, and it's not a very good. It's not variety since they're in every game.
And the funny thing is that they said that they were listening to fans when they created this episode, and the only point I see where they actually listen to fans is Sonic and Tails 69ing because furries.
I don't
Well,
think.
I do think the physics engine definitely comes off as the fact that they completely rehauled the physics engine into something completely new. I think is listening to
It's
the
Sonic
most
2
common complaint
physics.
that we've heard. It's
Yeah, exactly.
Much,
but it's still
yeah,
different.
it's different than episode 1, and that's the one that everybody hated the physics in.
Yeah, but the thing is, they didn't quite adapt the level design to that new physics model, which is why it's also boring and bland.
I don't actually think the game is bland though. I thought Sonic 1 was bland, if anything.
Well,
Oh, I don't think it's.
let's say it's less bland.
Mm. Why do you think this is fundamentally different, Josh?
Why is this fundamentally different? The physics are completely different. The
No,
speed
I
of
mean-
Sonic.
Fundamentally different in terms of what you like and what you don't like.
The fact that it feels so much less like you're participating through the whole thing. The physics feel slower, and ironically, because they're a little bit tighter, it feels the game feels less exhilarating, less fast. There's a lot less platforming. I know you seem to think there's a ton of pitfall-y level design in the first game, but I just don't see it. This game has none of that, but it trades it out for almost no platforming in certain areas.
I don't know, this is platforming right here, and I like that it actually does something with the homing attack. It actually makes some sort of platforming.
It uses the
elements.
homing attack constantly, though. It's
Yeah,
a constant thing.
But I liked what they did because in the first one they had a homing attack, but it had no gameplay design other than mashing A when it came to enemies. And in this one you have the platforms that you have to homing attack, and I think that's a very good way of making that
When the first
feature work.
In the first game, the homing attack functioned as like a mid-air spin dash. It allowed you to get a burst of speed in mid-air. Like Sven just used it that way in the game. It's a nice thing. In this game, you often get punished for using it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always enemies just waiting right around the corner, so there's never really a chance for you to use it as this quick burst of speed.
Can I say, I know we're going around in different topics, but I just want to say a thing annoyed me about episode 1 but I never brought up was how close the screen is to Sonic, and it would be like you couldn't see anything. Like if the camera was zoomed out, I think the game would have been much better and less frustrating as well. And I think that problem is still in this game. I think it's way too close to Sonic that it should be zoomed out a bit.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes you don't really know what you're up against until you're really near it.
It's an interesting complaint. I remember you tweeting about that, and I never considered that about these games.
I think Sonic 4 Episode 1 is at least way too close. In Sonic 2, it kind of zooms out when it gets to some of the bosses. The one thing I'm not really that sure of is why there's 4 acts now. There's 3 main acts and a boss, and it's never really been like that in another Sonic game, has there? I mean, in Episode 1 it was 3 acts, but the last one was a boss.
No, that's not true, Stevie. You're always messing that up. It is 3 acts and a boss in the first episode, and the same for the second episode.
Are you sure? Because I swear at least when in the boss level it was like a short little thing. I swear there's...
Do you
more...
drink when we are doing our films?
No, but I kind of wish I was. But...
Calling these films is kind of
yeah. This is our indie art house film called Sonic 4 Episode 2.
No, yeah, Sven's right, Stevie. There's 3 acts and a boss.
Okay, it
which
feels
is
longer.
a place that a lot of people
And it
had.
was the same thing in the very first Sonic, so...
But also,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like... I guess that kind of works for my point, because the levels feel longer in this.
I think that's a complaint that a lot of people had too, because a lot of people felt it wasn't necessary to have a third act to kind of draw out the ideas of the zone into a whole nother stage. Because I mean that's one of the biggest gripes that people have with Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2 is that's the only one with 3 stages, and everybody hates that stage.
Yeah. Sven, what are you trying to do? Yeah, what are you trying to do here in this video?
I'm trying to fly up this platform. Like I just
I swear
managed to.
Tails doesn't get that exhausted that quickly.
He does.
Yeah, he does. If you have, I think you have 3 or 4 taps of the button before he gets tired.
Yeah.
And you have to strategically use those. Oh, Tails, thanks, buddy. Okay, see ya, Tails.
The only thing he's really good in when it comes to endurance is 69ing with Sonic, which is kind of creepy.
Right, why do you keep going on about that, Sven? Do you have some kind of affinity for that?
I think it's
You're like knocking furries, but you're the one who keeps bringing it up. So
Yeah,
Well,
you're
it's
like,
good for the
"Ooh."
hits.
Sven, you're like, ooh, I'm not a furry, wink wink. I like to see Amy Rose with the inflated boobs.
See,
God, this section is fucking awful.
your demented mind comes up with those without any kind of problem, which is kind of creepy.
Jump Sven. Hey, you made it, Sven.
I know.
Yay! On that move, on the 69ing move, that one even more so than the flying, that feels so tacked on to me. It just feels like they're trying to rationalize Tails being in the game. They're like, let's just give him another arbitrary attack. That I had a little debate with John about this on the podcast. That you could do that stuff with the spin dash if they just added the right mechanic. Like it's not necessary for that move to exist.
But the point that John made was that the spin dash doesn't have any reason to exist anyways, and he...
Yeah, it does. It gives you an instant burst of speed. It has plenty of use.
Yeah, but this is even more instant than the spin dash. It's literally a hit of the button.
It's the same exact speed time. If you hit down and tap A a couple times, you get a spin dash instantly. In fact, it's faster because you have to go through the animation of Tails giving you a fucking high five and turning into the move. It takes longer to do that.
Okay,
I had to laugh so hard, yeah.
Funniest part of the game, this bit.
I was so angry when I saw those 2 towers coming up because I hate rehashes.
It's like, oh fuck. And
Yeah. How long did it take you guys to figure out that you needed to use Tails in this level?
Not that
to
long.
fly?
A second
I didn't
playthrough.
It didn't occur to me the first time, and I just was trying to jump up to that for ages.
You can do it without
Well,
Tails.
see, you say Tails is arbitrary. You need him for this boss.
No, you don't. The first time I managed to get through this boss without Tails.
I didn't need him until the very end with like the last couple of hits when he was way up higher.
Yeah, I think there you're definitely supposed to use him. I also feel like the bosses are kind of longer because unlike other Sonic bosses before, he has a brief period of being invisible, whereas in one of the old Sonic games you could just keep hitting him.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Do you think it makes it easier, or...?
It makes it more boring because, you know...
It makes the stage drawn out.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say.
I do kind of like the interesting idea that it basically is a boss that isn't Robotnik, but he's just kind of there. Like, it's not an appendage attached to him, it's him going into something and controlling it.
Like a Power Ranger.
Yeah, like a Megazord.
Yeah, that's his plant Zord.
Did he ever have plant swords?
There might have been a
I don't think there
Transformer
was...
on it.
I mean, Power Rangers had so many different iterations. There was the ninja ones, the police ones, the dinosaur ones, the jungle ones.
Why weren't Vulcan's Skull ever Power Rangers? That's what I want to know.
Because Power Rangers discriminate against fat people.
That is not true. They have actually a character arc. We are so bored by this game, we are talking about Power Rangers.
I'm not that bored by this game. I think the game is pretty good. It's not great.
Pretty good.
It's not great.
Speaking of which, Stevie, I was shocked at your grade. I thought you were going to give it a much higher grade.
Well, let's we will tease the listeners with that and say, "Ooh, want to know what was going on behind the scenes with the Sega Addicts review? Find out in part 2. See, look how I did that.
Well, anyway,
nice,
now the second part.
Yeah, look, see, you want to watch the second part now, don't you? Yeah, you do, you dirty whore. Mmm.